So, welcome to another motivation inspirational interview. Tonight, we have the pleasure of talking with an ambassador, an activist, a blogger herself, a published writer, so to speak, of inclusion and diversity, and why we need to talk about the needs and preferences to support individuals. Michelle Steiner, thank you very much for accepting our interview and coming on board to be part of our interviews for Motivation Inspiration. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you too, Andy. Thank you.
So tell me, I mean, I've had a look at your articles that have been published on, Imagine the World as One and The Mighty and Word Gathering, and you're on a mission yourself now to talk about Michelle's mission. I mean, Tell me your story. Where did it all begin for you?
Well, I was first diagnosed with a learning disability when I was in kindergarten. So I was very young when they found out that I learned differently. My preschool teacher thought something was atypical with my development. I really struggled a lot with trying to count and tie my shoes and write my name. And my teachers thought, okay, something's going on. So they tested me and found out I had a learning disability. And it's mainly in math. That was always the biggest things where that happened. And I went through a lot of, things with school, with struggling, and I did get the supports that I needed. And when I got out of school, I knew I wanted to help people that had disabilities.
Fantastic. I mean, I work in a specialist college for learning disabilities, physical disabilities, behaviour, and, I work in access to college, which means, students that I work with have been out of education for 2 to 5 years, where they've, the only accessibility to that is actually staying in the room because of their anxiety and stress levels, because of, their conditions or their issues that they've been experiencing, because they can't, because of their learning disability or their anxiety, they can't deal with everyday life, and it has a massive impact on their day life. How did that affect you growing up?
Well, as I grew up, it was difficult. A lot of my peers that were in learning support with me, they struggled more with reading, and they had a lot of behavior issues, and some of them came from some pretty bad backgrounds, so that was difficult. And then my regular ed peers, they kind of lumped me in with the learning support ones with not being very smart. So it was really difficult to find someone that I related to. And school was, it was difficult. I was able to eventually to be in more regular ed classes. In fact, by the time I was in high school, I was in all regular ed except for math and resource. And we would use strategies when I would take a test in a regular ed classroom. We would do extended test time. We would do accommodations.
Fantastic. I mean, talking about your career and your daily life. I mean, who motivates and inspires you and gives you the passion to push yourself?
What really inspires me is a lot of the people that I connect with that have disabilities. So whether that's a student that I work with in the classroom that has a disability, or if I'm working, if I get an article published and I have somebody that says, wow, I really connected with what you said. And that just makes me smile, because it helps me to feel like, well, I'm not alone, and it helps that other person to feel that it's okay to share their story as well.
Fantastic. Why is motivation and inspiration so important to support others then? I mean, we talk about, the academic side, but also the social interaction side, and, dealing with everyday daily life issues. But why is it so important that we motivate and give that inspiration to support others?
I think it's really important that when a person faces having a disability, that they have that motivation to know that they can go out and achieve things that they would like to do, or a lot of them. They just need to find a way to do that, and to have that motivation to just go out there and to connect with other people, but also to find a way that they're able to pursue what their passions are.
I mean, everybody's an individual, and we
Right.
talk about everybody. When we look at learning disabilities and we look about physical needs, but everybody has their own kind of characters, their own needs and preferences, and everybody is different because they are individuals. What would you say? I mean, how do we support inclusion and diversity in the community to build on resilience and support our individuals in society?
I think what needs to happen is, like you said, everybody is different. And I think a lot of what we need to do is we need to have encourage the person to do what works best for them and to develop services and things that are going to work best for their needs, and to encourage them to be able to be advocates, to speak up and say, this is what I have, and this is what I need to be successful.
Brilliant, thank you. I mean, you are right. I mean, it's about giving somebody a voice themselves and being there as an advocate to support that. I mean, what would your message be to a young person who's been going through trauma, impacting on issues on their daily life, dealing with disability conditions, issues, and maybe being in crisis in their daily life? What would you say to that person who needs that support?
I would tell the person that has gone through crisis is to try to find a way to turn their pain into purpose and find what their passions are and to be able to use that. I never thought that having a learning disability, that any good would have ever came out of it. I can remember getting the encouragement from a friend when I was in a writer's group, and she said, you really should write about your life and your story. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And once I got my first article published, I found out it was really healing for me to be able to write that and to be able to connect with other people. And I always have a big thing with supporting the arts, whether it's painting or drawing or writing in my case, or music. Those are all really good ways to express feelings and emotions.
Fantastic. I mean, we talk about individuals and their interests, and and part of our process in supporting individuals is to enhance or encourage them to concentrate on interests, especially as part of strategies, and building that kind of determination to potentially gain employment. With regards to your own experiences, how do you take care of your mental well-being as part of your daily life, and how does this build on your resilience and determination?
Well, one of the things I love to do is I do a daily workout. I love to walk. I like to go to the gym. I like to take group exercise classes, and just getting that focus in on accomplishing a goal and doing something I like and helping to improve my mental health with physical exercise helps a lot. I also think my faith is also very important to me, being able to pray and just being able to give what I can't control over to God, and because He's helped me in so many ways that I couldn't even imagine. So those are some ways that help me on my day.
Fantastic. I've got a question for one of our leading practitioners in one of our primary schools in Birmingham, and he asked the question about how do we enable our young people with regards to supporting their needs without actually politicizing their kind of PC and correctness in education. I mean, we talk about politics and the emphasis on our schools, but how do we encourage young people to become the people they are by not over politicizing them in the first place?
I think it's really important when you have young people to find out what their interests are and what motivates them to do things, and to encourage them to do the research and find a way to be able to do it. I can remember when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to go to college, but I knew that I really struggled with math, and that was going to be a big area of concern. And I had people that were telling me, well, don't go to college, go to a vocational training school, which was fine, except they didn't have a program that interested me. And I remember talking with a counselor that came to our school that was going to be in charge whenever I got out of high school of just giving me career options and funding some of the schooling. And they said, well, what you can do is, why don't we find you a community college to start out with, and that has the disability accommodations. I was able to find one that had a program that interested me. And it's just it's honoring the person and what their wishes are, but also being realistic. You got to look into things and seeing if this is going to be a good fit for you and what accommodations are out there.
Okay. I mean, in this country, we have kind of the 3 I's, which is intent, implementation, and impact. So the intent is obviously thinking about what we put in place to support the individual.
Right.
The information is, the strategies we deal with that to support that, and obviously the impact is the outcomes. In the States, is that the same kind of process where they look at the school system and decide on the individual themselves, or is it more emphasis on the academic side?
It's a little bit of both. We have gone into, before a child will leave school, before they'll leave a public high school, we do transition services for students with disabilities. So we'll give an interest of, we'll get them to put what they're interested in studying outside of school. Do they want to join the military? Do they want to go to college? Do they want to go to trade school, places they want to look at? And we try to give them opportunities to maybe visit schools or to give information about that. And most importantly, to give them an idea of the accommodations that they're going to need when they do leave schools. And it's really important that they have that information to know, okay, this is what I need. And there really isn't a lot of choices that someone necessarily can't do. There just may be some unwise choices that somebody might make. And, we try to do our very, very best to prepare them before they go out there. I knew when I went into school, it was going to be a challenge with the math and with other things. I had a psychiatrist who evaluated me before I went in to college. And he told me, most likely you're not going to go beyond community college. And I had professors who told me, your job choices are going to be limited because of your disability. And I didn't initially use the services. I was able to get my associate's degree, but I always wanted more. And when I went back to school, I was able to get my bachelor's degree. But it was through having the accommodations, having the support, finding the right program, and knowing what I was interested in, because it's a lot easier and if you are interested in what you're studying and having that support.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. We have a quick fire round, which is part of a new thing. So I try to go as fast as I can and hopefully get one-word answers from you to support. Obviously, it's sort of a little quiz. So are you ready for our quick fire round?
Sure.
Okay, so what is your favorite food?
I like salads.
Okay, favorite drink?
Herbal tea.
Okay, favorite film or TV show?
This Is Us.
Okay, a favorite music?
We listen to a lot of workout music.
Okay, and if you had a superhero power, what would that power be and why?
If I had a super power, it would be to heal people that are hurt so the person wouldn't be in pain anymore.
Fantastic. I've got before we finish, I've got 2 final questions. One of which is, what is the future goal for Michelle Steiner?
My future goal is I'm currently working on writing a book called Chasing Butterflies about my journey with having a learning disability. I want to be able to maintain my blog and write other disability articles and just being able to be an advocate for others that have disabilities.
Fantastic. And if you could think of a quote to support motivation and inspiration, what would that quote be and why?
The quote I would pick was, life by the yard is hard, but life by the inch is a cinch. And I just choose that because sometimes with having a disability, I let the problem get ahead of me and I become overwhelmed. But if I just take it a little bit at a time, it's a lot more manageable and it just helps to keep me focused.
Michelle Steiner, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I apologise about all the technical issues at the start.
That's okay.
But we are distance away, but it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing, reading the book Catching Butterflies, and hopefully you'll be doing more blogs and more articles that we can read and enlighten us about a learning disability and about talking to other people about you know, these kind of conditions and issues that obviously impact on our daily life, but also don't stop us or define us who we are and pushing us further in our journey as we, in life. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, you take care. See you
You
soon.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.